All right. What's going on, everybody? I hope you're well. Let me know if you can see me and hear me. See folks coming on in. You're having a great Sunday. It is storming here in New Orleans, but we good. We good. Just getting us set up on IG real quick. All right, good. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're having a great weekend. And I got an interesting one for you all today. I've been sitting with this one for quite some time, given what's going on in the world and in our country. And I'm really excited to share it with you, the divine download that I got this week. Let me see what's going on. Let me see here. What's going on Instagram? If you're joining us live, please join us at www.juliangordon.com/TFC. That stands for The Financial Church. That's where you can see the slides for today. We preach here, which is a mixture of teaching and preaching. So if you want to see the slides that I put together for you tonight or today, then join us on Zoom live here. So I see folks are here, excited to have you. Did the text message go out? Did y'all get the text message? Did the text message come through? All right, so if you're not on the text message reminders and you are on a computer right now, go to thefinancialchurch.com, thefinancialchurch.com, and then scroll down and sign up for the text messages. That's an easier way to get a reminder about this. I also send out an email, and then Zoom, I think, sends out something as well. So go to The Financial Church. I'll type it in the chat real quick, thefinancialchurch.com. That's where all the replays are as well, in case you didn't know. Those are up on the next day. So thefinancialchurch.com. All right, cool. So if you're on Instagram, go ahead and share this and like it and get it out. This message today is going to be extremely powerful given the times that we are in. It is a little off kilter in terms of directly talking about manifestation and money. But as you know, we cannot get there if we are unclear about our identity in God. That's where true transformation occurs, is when we change our identity. And so today is really going to be about understanding who we are in God and our identity. And then we will swing back around to mastering manifestation and money. All right. So I'm sharing this on Facebook real quick, and we should be good to go. In terms of last week, what was your last week? How did everybody finish their monthly balance sheet and their income statement? Type yes if you did. You finished that exercise. Good, Rosemary. Micah finished. Good. Okay. Good. All right. Good. I'm getting this set up on Facebook real quick, so we are going to go off in just a second. thefinancialchurch.com. All right, cool. Good to go. Good. What's going on here? All right, Facebook might not be working, so we're just going to keep it pushing without it. All right, cool. So with that, I'm going to share my screen with you all. And go ahead and get some paper, because you're going to want to take notes today. You want to take notes every week when it comes to Financial Church, but you're going to want to take some notes today. All right. You should be able to see my screen now. Can you see it? Can you see my screen? If you're on Instagram, you're going to have to join us on Zoom if you want to see the slides that I teach from every Sunday here at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those of you who are in Zoom, can you see the slides? All right, cool, good. We are good to go. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. It's not going today. All right, cool. So, welcome everybody to the Financial Church. Today I have an interesting one for you. I was listening very carefully to the Creator, and this is the divine download that came to me through me for you. And I've put it together in today's preaching. For those of you who don't know the word preaching, it's a combination of preaching and teaching. We don't just want you to come here and get preached to and then get spiritually high and then that energy die. Within 30 minutes of leaving here. This is actually teaching as well. This is why I use PowerPoint heavily to add the visual images and the framework so that you truly understand what it is that I'm talking about and that you can actually apply it with your life and take it with you forever. This is how transformation occurs. Today, given the times that we're in the midst of rioting and well, some people are calling it rioting. I call it revolution. What is occurring is actually revolution. And we want to look at the context, revolution in the context of Jesus today, Jesus the revolutionary. Because the imagery that has been painted of Jesus is one that is actually not revolutionary at all. And we want to counter that with a different perspective. And today I will be sharing with you scriptures to support who Jesus really was. And for me, I define Jesus as my spiritual brother, one of my older siblings on this walk. And he said, whoever does the will of my Father is my sister and my brother. And so that is how I perceive Jesus. This is a spiritual space, and my objective is not to get you to believe or relate to God in the way that I do. I do put a relationship over religion, and that's okay. If your religion is taking you away from your relationship or diminishing your relationship and not being true and transparent about who you are in God and who God is in you, then I do think that religion has to be set aside. But I specifically focus on my relationship with God. And for me, I do not have to go through my older brother in order to get to my parents. If you are a younger sibling, for how many of you are younger siblings out there? How many of you are younger siblings out there? Okay, Catherine's a younger sibling. Teresa's a younger sibling. Do you, Catherine, Teresa, Velma, Matthew, Carmelita, Nikki, do you have to go through your older brother or older sister to talk to your parents? Do you have to go through your older brother or older sister to talk to your parents? No. Okay, so we know as above, so below, as below, so above. And so this is my relationship. And again, I'm not asking you to adopt mine. In fact, I encourage you to question everything I share with you today. I encourage you to question it. Most people say, oh, don't lean on that own understanding. When I was in the church in particular, and I started to have questions after reading the Bible from cover to cover, et cetera, and I had questions for the elders, none of them had answers. And they would throw at me, lean not on that own understanding, but the scripture at the same time says, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be answered. And so here I encourage you to question everything that I share with you, which may sound counterintuitive. You may not like everything that I share. Take what works for you and throw away what doesn't work for you. I don't need you to believe what I believe, because guess what? Here we know, as scripture says, it is done unto you as you believe. It's not done unto you as I believe. It's not done unto you as I believe for you. It's not done unto you as I want you to believe. It is done unto you as you believe. Okay? So this is for you to examine your own belief system. Obviously, because we know it's done unto us as we believe, then everything that we are experiencing in the life that we are having right now must be connected to our beliefs. And here we examine our own beliefs. Every week I go through a process as I prepare these teachings for you, is to examine my own beliefs about who I am in God and who God is in me, to examine my beliefs about why life is as it is, not only on the global scale, which we are all experiencing, but also in my personal life, in my world, right? This is what we do here. So for those of you joining us for the first time, how many of you are new and how many of you are vets? Type new if you are new and type vets if you're vets. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, please go ahead and hit the like and share button. Get this message out to as many people as we can. We do not want people to miss this message. I see a lot of vets here. A lot of veterans. Okay, I see some new people. Good. We got a lot of vets. So that's a beautiful thing. That means the message is resonating because people are returning. And again, we don't market this heavily, or I don't market this heavily. Ministry is actually growing simply through law of attraction. And so I'm okay with that. I'm in no rush. Size and scale does not matter to me. I know that who needs this message will be magnetized to it and drawn to it at the right time in their own life and journey. So we don't push here. We don't try to convert. There's no conversion here. This is just a vibration and a frequency that we are putting out, me individually and us collectively, that a lot of people are tuning into. And so I'm excited about that. So for those of you who are new, I want to share with you the definition of financial spirituality. This is what we teach here. Financial spirituality is the practice of mastering manifestation and money by learning how God creates and using the power of your mind, words, thoughts, feelings, imagination, prayer, and works to bring heaven, which is in the mind, okay, on earth, which is our material experience, so that you may have life and have it more abundantly. So that is how we define financial spirituality here. And we always know here at Financial Churches that we are always already manifesting. You have manifested the life that you are living right now. And when you take full responsibility for that, then we have to go back to the blueprint, which is our belief systems, to examine how we've actually created the life that we created, and then plant new seeds, okay? So the question is not whether or not the question isn't whether you know how to manifest. You are manifesting as we speak right here and now. The question is am I doing it deliberately, okay? And have I created the experience of life that I actually desire? That's all. Whatever you are experiencing right now, you can take full responsibility for it. If you don't take full responsibility for it, then guess what? If we don't take full responsibility for the life that we're living, then what does that mean, y'all? Tell me in chat, what does that mean? If we're not taking full responsibility for it, what does it mean? Then that means that somebody else, some other entity or individual has power over our life. When we don't take full responsibility, yes, we may have had negative things show up in our lives that we like, no, I didn't bring that to existence. But what I know is that all things are working together for my good. All things, not just some things, right? All things, not just winning the lottery, okay? Coronavirus, guess what? It's working together for your good. That unemployment right now, for some of you, is working together for your good. You know how many people have actually stepped into their purpose, actually become entrepreneurs that they've been desiring to, but they were actually liberated and freed by getting laid off? Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people who are struggling right now as a result of getting laid off, but all things are working together for your good. Me being held up at gunpoint from my car at the age of 18, I couldn't see it in the moment, but guess what? It was working together for my good, because I would not be here right now if that moment didn't occur. Okay, so we take full responsibility for the life that we're living, and therefore our responsibility as co-creators to create the life that we desire. Here we reference the Bible a lot. Why? Because I have Baptist roots. I don't particularly identify as a Christian, though I am a true believer and a follower of Jesus and his teachings. I don't subscribe necessarily to the religion itself, okay? I know for a fact that God was not Christian, the Bible is not Christian, and Jesus was not Christian. So that is my premise, and so I don't identify as that, okay? But I do have a very biblical approach, and you do not have to be Christian to benefit from these teachings, because what I extract from the Bible are universal laws. There are universal laws that apply whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, whether you're Buddhist, whether you're atheist. There are universal laws just like gravity, okay? There's a lot of wisdom in this book. And because of some people's relationship with Christianity and religion, they've thrown this book out with the religion. And I'm telling you, there is a lot of good in this book. And we're going to explore that today. I also believe that Jesus is the richest man to ever walk the face of this earth, wealthier than Mansa Musa, okay? Because he knew who he was in God and who God was in him. He didn't have to have material wealth because he could actually manifest on demand. So what do I need to carry a whole bunch of gold for when I can manifest whatever? I can turn water into wine right now. I can multiply fish and bread right now. What do I need to carry material wealth for? Okay, and so we ultimately want to get to that level. It is a very high calling, and we're going to explore that in just a second. So some of the belief statements that I have, You may choose to accept these for yourself or not, but I encourage you to come up with your own belief statements. The reality is that we all have our own religion. You could be sitting in the pew next to somebody on Sunday, but guess what? They don't actually see God in the same way that you do. That means that you have two different religions. Now, you may be bucketed in one group. I'm Methodist, I'm Catholic, I'm Baptist, etc. But guess what? Every individual has their own unique relationship to God. Therefore, you have your own religion. Some people pray 3 times a day. Some people pray once a day. Some people meditate. Everybody has their own unique religion, which is your practice, your personal practice, not a group practice. It's your personal practice of how you stay in alignment and in touch with your creator. So there's 7 billion religions out here. It's not just 3 major religions. It's 7 billion religions out here. So you have to come up with your own belief statements. And if you haven't done this work, then that means that you've just adopted one of the major religions and you were just subscribing to that programming. Okay. So some of the belief statements that I have, and again, I want you to create your own. Please do not accept what I say as true. Okay, I know it's true for me, and therefore I know it's probably true for you, but please do not accept anything that I say here today as true. Okay, go explore it for yourself and see if it resonates with you and your soul. So first belief statement, I believe that as a child of God, I have access to everything that is in God's will for me to have, and I will receive it when I'm ready. Okay, I seek first the kingdom of God, knowing that all the things that I need will be added unto me. I'm about my Father's business, and when I am, I will have life and have it more abundantly. I believe that I'm here to manifest divine ideas planted in the heaven of my mind, which is on earth, which is my material experience. And I believe that there is more than enough. I have more than enough, and that I am more than enough, for God is the infinite source of my supply. So these are some of the core beliefs that I have that guide me in terms of my practice and my relationship with the Creator. Okay. So we know that in Genesis 2:7, it says the Lord God formed a man from the dust of ground. And remember, man was not in Genesis. Genesis 2 was trying to talk about actual physical being, but in Genesis 1, there's 2 creation stories. Okay. And when man is referenced, man is not just referring to man as in gender, it's referencing mankind. Okay. So then the Lord formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils. In the Hebrew language, there's no neuter for it. Okay. So it always uses gender. So nostrils, the breath of life, and man became a living being. Okay. Mankind, including man and woman, became a living being. Okay. So we know the importance of breath. Breath is our connection to our Creator. Okay. We are being breathed through. You are not actually breathing. We do not control our breath. Okay. With the exception of asthma or coronavirus, which is a respiratory disease, or a police officer putting their knee on your neck, we can't actually stop our breathing if we desire to, or suicide. So what that implies is that there's actually something that is breathing through us at all times. It is breathing through us, and most of us don't even think about that breath. So as a way of reconnecting with our Creator, what we're going to do right now is we're going to take 3 deep breaths. We're going to do 4 seconds in. We're going to do 4 seconds. We don't say inhale because we do not want to be in hell. We are very keen on our language here. We're going to do 4 seconds of in heaven, 1 second of pause, and then 5 seconds of exhale. So we're going to do 4 seconds of inhale or in heaven. See, I'm working on my own programming and language. 4 seconds of in heaven, 1 second of pause and stillness, and then 5 seconds of exhale. Okay. Okay. In heaven. Exhale. In heaven. Exhale. In heaven. Exhale. So in the same way that we plug in our cell phones to the wall to stay charged, all we have to do to reconnect with God is to take breath, to honor the breath, not just walking around knowing that we're breathing, but to just take time and just focus on the breath. We know that To be truly wealth consciousness is ultimately the point where you trust money just like you trust air. Where you trust money just like you trust air. Like I said, most of us never worry about where our next breath is coming from. But we spend a whole bunch of time worrying about where our next dollar is coming from. And so true wealth consciousness is to the point where you don't worry about where your next dollar is coming from because you trust in God to provide for you, just like God provides air and oxygen. That is a high calling. That is what we come here every week to address and to do, to move out of poverty consciousness into wealth consciousness. So ultimately, we can have that same wealth consciousness, knowing that as long as we are in alignment, as long as we're living out our purpose, and as long as we are listening and seeking to serve and be the greatest good and do the greatest good, that all of our needs will be met. Okay? So today we are talking about Jesus as a revolutionary. Like I said, there are 7 billion religions out there. Even if a lot of people are grouped into larger religions, there are 7 billion religions. And John Henrik Clarke, one of my favorite writers, he said this, and we have to question this scripture around, did God create man in its own image, or did man create God in its image? Did God create man in its image, or did man create God in man's image? Okay, so John Henrik Clarke, he says, how can a slave and a master both worship the same God? Then both of them expect their prayers to be answered by the very same God. So the Jesus that I follow and believe in is different than the one that was used to keep my people in slavery. Might have been calling on the same name. I don't know that dude. There's a couple different Jesuses out here. That's not the one that I believe in and follow. I follow a different Jesus. I believe in a different Jesus. I am brothers with a different Jesus, because the Jesus I know wouldn't do that to my people. So we have to be clear that though we might be calling on the same name, and Jesus was not his name, by the way, there's no J in the Hebrew language. So we can go to Yeshua or we can go to Emmanuel, because there's no J in Hebrew. So we got all these people calling on Jesus, and there's somebody up in heaven talking about, why do these people keep calling me? Wrong number. Oh, but it's just a name. God knows what I mean. No, if you call me out of my name, even if you yell, no matter how many times you call me, if you call me out of my name, I'm not going to answer. I am not going to answer. Unless we got a relationship where I say, yeah, you can call me by one of my nicknames. And I got several nicknames, y'all. I'm not going to reveal them all here. I got several nicknames. You cannot just call me out of name and expect me to respond to you. If you would literally just read the scripture yourself, if you would read this good book yourself, you would realize that you've been calling on the wrong name for a long, long time. There's no J in Hebrew. So where does the name Jesus come from? Oh, it's the American. Okay, if you know the real frequency, if you know the real vibration and tonality of the name, why not use the real name? Why use the American translation? Why use the derivative? Okay, so it's time for us to study, y'all. It's time for us to study. We've been outsourcing our religion to preachers, to prophets, priests, and pimps. And it's time for us to go study for ourselves. This is the most important relationship in our lives. Our relationship to our Creator, however you define that. Okay, I'm not saying that you have to adopt my version. However you define that, that is the most important relationship, and it should not be outsourced. It should not be outsourced. You need to go do the studying yourself. That is the one relationship you do not want to outsource. Okay? So when we look at Christianity, there's all kinds of denominations, and you see when you look at the word denomination or denominator, right? That is division. It is division. Okay, so this house has been divided in many different ways. Okay, and so again, there's no one understanding of what people call a Christian God. But again, God is not Christian, the Bible is not Christian, and Jesus wasn't Christian. Is there anybody who wants to debate those things with me? Is there anybody who has an argument against any of those things? God was not Christian. The Bible is not Christian, though it is used heavily by Christians. And Jesus was not Christian. Obviously, if Christianity came after him, then he wasn't Christian. He learned and grew up in something else. That's what I want to know. I want to know what he studied and what he believed. All right. So when we think about these different versions of Jesus, of course, this is the one that is portrayed in the world. How they came up with this, I have no clue. What is it? Cesar Borgia or something like that is who they painted. There was no people of this hue in this region at that time. There was just none. I'm sorry, there was none. Okay? Now there will be white folks who tell you, oh, but his color doesn't matter. And I actually agree. Color does not matter. The character matters more than the color. But if the color didn't matter, then why did it change? If the color didn't matter, then why did it change? And yet there are still churches and institutions who have beautiful stained glass of images of this Jesus here. And I love the art, but they are standing in a lie. And they've anchored it architecturally. They are standing in a lie that they are fully aware of, bearing false witness, breaking a 10 commandment right then and there, but they've anchored it architecturally. Oh, that stained glass, it costs a lot to get fixed. No, we can't change that. No. Okay, so any church, any household you go into that is upholding this lie and this imagery, you have to move on. I wouldn't even get into any debates there. Okay? How many of you all know the song Mary Had a Little Lamb? You realize that Mary Had a Little Lamb was speaking about Jesus, right? Is there anybody who did not know that Mary Had a Little Lamb was referring to Jesus? I was singing that song growing up so much. And guess what? It was about Jesus. A song now to reinforce his fleece was what as snow? His fleece was what as snow? White as snow. These people crazy, y'all. I don't know if they're crazy, they smart, they're strategic. I don't know what it is, but teaching you and programming you at a very early age so that you accept this imagery as your God. And when a people does not subconsciously see themselves in God or as God, then they will bow down to whoever they perceive as such. And so this is why Jesus has been turned into a white man. But again, for me, the color actually doesn't matter as much as the character. Okay? So we're going to discuss white Jesus versus black Jesus. If we out here just making up Jesuses, then we're going to make a Jesus that is actually in our favor and that is actually supported by scripture. If we're just going to make up Jesuses and there's 7 billion versions or however many Christians, there's many different versions of Jesus out there, billions of them. However many Christians there are, there's that many versions of Jesus. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make up my own version of Jesus supported by scripture. And I'm going to share that with you. And you can accept some of it. You can accept all of it. You can accept some of it, or you can accept none of it. That's up to you. But I encourage you to go create and understand what your imagery is of Jesus. Okay. My Jesus looks more like the one on the right, like the black man. Now, was Jesus probably this hue? Was he as dark brown as me? Probably not. But since we are making God in our own image, it seems, then I'm going to create a God that reflects me because I know that I am a child of God. Okay? And all of you are too. You being a child of God is higher than any religion. That is actually my religion. Child of God. All of us are included in that. There's no separation. There's no division. That's where I start. That is my identity. When people ask, so who are you? Before I say real estate investor, teacher, accredited investor, et cetera, before I say all that stuff, I'm a child of God first. That is my highest identity. And then we have all these other identities that are below that. We got, I'm a male, I'm a black male, I'm a straight black male, I'm a New Orleanian now, I'm Jamaican, like all of these identities that we have, I'm a father, et cetera. All these identities that we have, no identity for me is higher than child of God. And all of our identities have sequences. They all fit into that sequence. And whatever identity is the highest is actually your master. Whatever identity is the highest for you is your master. If you talk to a feminist, usually her womanhood will be her first identity. Okay? I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. That's just being aware of all the identities that we have, all the roles and the hats that we wear. For me, my first and highest identity is child of God, period. Okay? So what we're going to go through today is the white American Jesus versus the black African Jesus. Here we are in this supposedly Christian country that does not act in Christian ideals according to the Bible. Okay? So if it was really embracing the Christian identity and what is perceived as Christianity, then our country we'd be having a different experience, especially as black people of this country. Okay? So there is a European white Jesus. There is, and a lot of that is Roman Catholic, etc. Then there's this white American Jesus that has been created. But then what I'm introducing you today is Jesus the revolutionary, and that is the black African Jesus. That is a black African Jesus. Okay? So appearance, white as snow. Nope. Bronze. Scripture, and all of this is scripturally backed, y'all. Bronze. Okay? Identity, spiritual guru. Okay? A minister. Nope. For me, Jesus was a spiritual gangster. We'll get to Mark 2:15 in just a second. His speech, what the perception is that they create, is he's this soft-spoken, poetic guy that is dropping parables on folks. No, for me, Jesus spoke truth to power. He wasn't no soft-spoken dude just dropping little poems and riddles here and there. No, he spoke truth to power fearlessly. Demeanor, this peaceful, docile, oh, he was a dove. Just extending olive branches to people. No, based on my reading of scripture, he was actually a public demonstrator. Just like all these people out here rioting, demonstrating publicly, he was a public demonstrator. He did more work out in public than he did inside of a temple. Okay? His teaching style. Oh, he was a nice teacher. Like, what's her name from Magic School Bus, y'all? What's her name from Magic School Bus? She's a great teacher, by the way. But what's her name? Miss, y'all remember Magic School Bus? What was her name on Magic School Bus? Dang, y'all don't know Magic School Bus? My daughter's watching it. I forgot. Oh, Miss Frizzle. Miss Frizzle. Yeah, there we go. Miss Frizzle. All right. So Miss Frizzle, nice teacher. She's actually a great teacher. She made learning fun, right? Now, Jesus was a tough lover. He was a tough lover, and we're going to get to that in just a second. Then in terms of the system, a lot of people think that Jesus built a church. Jesus didn't build no church. He didn't build any church. The word church is like in the Bible like twice. Jesus actually challenged the existing institutions. He didn't build no church. He knew that the body was the temple. Now he didn't say that. He didn't say that scripture. That came, I think, from Paul. That came from Paul. But where do you think Paul got it from? The body was the temple. That's why he said, "I will tear down the temple, right, and rebuild it in 3 days." He was talking about the body, not some physical stadium. The temple. What are these, y'all? What are these on my head? These are my temples right here. Okay? And then the family tree. John said Jesus was the only begotten son. Jesus did not say, "I am the only begotten son." I'm not worried about what other people say about him. I'm worried about what he said about him. John said he was the only begotten son. Jesus didn't say that. Jesus said, "Whoever does the will of the Father is my brother and sister." So if we brothers and sisters, then we siblings. We siblings, right? Then I'm not the only child. Then he's not the only child. Like, it's plain and simple. It's like basic, but the programming is real, y'all. And then love. Jesus being this forgiving, conditional lover. And why do I say conditional? It's because the way it's written in the white American Jesus is that there's sinners and then there's the righteous. And Jesus didn't usually operate in that way. In fact, he didn't even judge folks. He didn't judge. He said, "Why don't you be the judge?" When he drew the line in the sand for the woman who supposedly committed adultery, right? He said, you be the judge. He didn't say, I judge you, I condemn you. The most powerful form of condemnation is what, y'all? When somebody condemns themselves. When they look in their own heart and examine their own heart and they feel condemned. That's when change occurs, is when you feel self-condemned, not when somebody else condemns you. So he was a fierce agape lover. Now, when people see the word love, they think of Cupid and Valentine's Day and things of that nature. Agape love doesn't just mean I'm nice to you all the time. Agape love is actually, I can push you at the same time as hold you and love you and believe in you. Okay? And some of us have parents like that, and we're grateful. We hated it. We hated it when we were actually under it, right? When we had a parent that would push us because they saw more in us than we could see in ourselves. But now that we're on the other side, we are so appreciative of that parent. Their love didn't change. When I have to discipline my daughter, my love does not change for her. My love does not change for her. Though I'm being firm in a moment, my love doesn't change whatsoever. It's unconditional love, but in that moment, I have to be firm because I know at this moment in time and at her stage of development, what's better for her than that she can perceive for herself. Okay? So let's get into this so that we can actually see what scripture says about these things. So you know that I'm not making it up, so that I can paint a picture of my Jesus, the Black African Jesus. Okay? So first and foremost, Genesis 15:13, it said, then the Lord said to him, know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there. Oh my God. Who the heck could they be talking about, y'all? Who could Moses have been writing about, y'all? When did we get here? 1619. What year is it? It's 1 year after 2019. I wonder who this book is about. I wonder. Deuteronomy 28:64 and 68. And the Lord said, scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. 68. And the Lord will take you back to Egypt, which means bondage. Okay. Egypt was not called Egypt. It's Kemet. Okay. In ships. Literally, this book, Deuteronomy, says in ships. And the Lord will take you back to bondage in ships. By the way of which I said to you, you shall never see it again. And there you shall be offered for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you. Is anybody unclear about who this book is about? Now, of course, the Jewish folks have robbed it and made it their story, etc. But nah, sorry. And I'll show it to you. Watch this, y'all. Genesis 3:9 through 11. But the Lord God called to man, where are you? He answered, this is Adam and Eve in the garden. He answered, I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid. And he said, who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from? Yo, who came to Africa and told us that we were naked, y'all? Who came to Africa and told us that we were naked? Look at our beautiful women. Look at our strong men in the Garden of Eden. Who told us that we were naked, that we were uncivilized, that we had no God? Who told us that we were naked? The captives, the colonizers. This book is about us, y'all. It's about us coming down from heaven into this experience. And it's here to remind us about who we are and why we are here. This book is not about some white Jews in Israel. It's not. Never has been. Though they've taken the story and then they perpetuated it through the Passion of the Christ and Hollywood and things of that nature. They run the media and the propaganda, etc. And I'm okay with other people borrowing the story. If you go to Egypt and you look at the 42 declarations of innocence, I should have put that in here for you. The 42 declarations of innocence. If you go to Egypt and you look at the 42 declarations of innocence, where did Moses go, y'all? Where did Moses go? Where did Moses go, y'all? Where was he serving? In Pharaoh, where did he free the people from? So if you look at the 42 declarations of innocence, you will see that the 10 commandments are directly pulled from the 42 declarations of innocence. Directly pulled. Line for line. Where do you think the Trinity came from, y'all? Who was building triangular structures at that level? Where do you think the Trinity came from, y'all? Egyptians were worshiping the sun god. Sun, S-U-N, sun, S-O-N. Why is this book all about light? Isis, Israel, which is Isis, Ra, which is the sun god, El, which is another name for God, Israel. Come on, y'all. Your story has been stolen. We talk about stolen legacy, it's right here. All right, so I could go in even more. Even if we look at the cross versus the Ankh, y'all know what an Ankh looks like, right? You know what an Ankh looks like? It's like a cross with a circular part on the top. Let me see. Like a cross with a circular part on it. Where do you think the cross came from? Like it's like obvious. It's so evident, man. It's like, dang, we couldn't put those pieces together. We couldn't put those pieces together, but now we are, because it's our time, right? I'll give you one more for those of you who are new to this. Tutankh. What's the ending of his name, y'all? Tutankh. What's the end of his name? Amen. And what do Christians say at the end of their prayers? Amen. This is your story, y'all. And it's been translated, regurgitated, twisted, and given back to you. And so now what we're trying to do, because there's still truth in it, we're trying to go back and weed out what's true and what is false. The original book, as it was written, we often operated in oral tradition. Of course, the Egyptians, they started documenting things in hieroglyph. So the original book, do I think was a God-inspired book? Yeah. This book, which is actually many different books put together, I think that the original was God-inspired. What we have today, I can't tell you what it is. I can't tell you what it is. Oh yeah, there you go, Vonnie. Tutmosis the third. Where do you think Moses got his name from? Like it's just there, y'all. But I don't want to give it to you. I hope I whetted your appetite a little bit enough, and you go do the research. Because once you do the research and you discover it for yourself, then you will come to believe and see who you truly are in this whole scheme of things. All right? So moving forward, who is this guy Jesus? Jesus, the revolutionary, the Black American Jesus. John 8:6-7 says, this they said to test him, that they might have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and wrote with his fingers on the ground. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, let him who was without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her. So this docile Jesus, this Jesus that is, oh, I'm a lover of all people. There's agape love, of unconditional love, but you can still hold people accountable. This Jesus, the Black American Jesus that I believe in, he drew lines in the sand, but he was able to do it without judgment. He was able to do it without judgment, because in the following scripture, the following line, I think verse 8, he said they walked away on their own. They were self-condemned. He did not judge them. He drew a line in the sand. He drew words in the sand and let them judge themselves. Okay? So we are at a time in our history where we must draw lines in the sand. We can't play in the gray anymore. We can't play in the gray. And we see some interesting things happening where our white brothers and sisters, or some of them, are also drawing lines in the sand. I saw a meme today where a white young man, and you never know if a meme was created, fake, or real, but a white young man said, "I just lost my aunt today." Nope, she didn't die. She's just racist. I was laughing my butt off, y'all, because lines have to be drawn. Now, does that nephew have probably the best access to, more access to that aunt than I do as a black man? Yes. So we can't cut her off in a way where there's no longer access and we're just drawing lines and there's good versus bad, because it was eating from the tree of good and evil, right? It was stepping into duality where I think I know what's good and I know what's bad. It was that actually created separation in the Garden of Eden. Knowledge of good and evil. When somebody thinks they know what's good and then what's evil, then that's what starts to create separation in the world. Just that alone. And that multiplies. It multiplies. Just like an alphabet multiplies. You can have 5 letters in an alphabet. You played Scrabble before. How many words can you make with just 5 letters? Then you add on a 6th letter and it just multiplies even more. You add on a 7th letter, it multiplies even more. Now you got 26 letters and we got this whole entire language. So just the idea of believing that you know what's good and what's evil starts to create separation in the world, because there will come a point immediately, even if there's 2 people on earth, where one person believes something is good and the other person believes it's evil. Okay? So we have to draw lines in the sand, not about people. The lines, what are the lines? The lines are making distinctions, not right or wrong. The lines, I think, actually, I'm going to stay away because I actually don't know. I don't know. And I'm okay with saying I don't know. I don't know what the line is, but I feel like our conscience knows where the line is. What is righteous and what is not righteous. What is of God and what is not of God. What is okay and what's not okay. In fact, the best drawers of lines are children. If anybody should be judges of all these cases that come through the Supreme Courts, etc., it should be children, because they know what's right and wrong better than we as adults do. I wish they had the maturity. Somebody to have mental maturity in a children's heart would be a great judge. And this is why Jesus always talks about the children being the first in the kingdom. Because they intuitively, because they are most recently out of the womb, they intuitively know what's right and what's wrong, for lack of better words. What's of God and what's not of God. What's okay and what's not okay. All right? So let's keep it pushing. Y'all enjoying this? Y'all enjoying this? All right, cool. So, Jesus, the Black American Jesus that I know, he was a revolutionary and he tore down institutions. He didn't build churches. Did he preach in some churches? Yeah, he taught in some churches, but for the most part, he was teaching outside, sitting on boats, speaking to the masses, sitting on mountains, speaking to the masses, okay? And if he did have church, it was in a dining room where he's breaking bread with his disciples or sinners and tax collectors. There was no big edifice that he needed or that he even asked for. He didn't say, let's go build these buildings. Okay? So in Matthew 9:17, it says, neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst. The wine will run out and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins and both are preserved. This is not about wine, y'all. This is about new ideas being poured into new institutions. If you try to pour new ideas into old institutions, they will not work. We got the Voters' Rights Act passed. King was there to sign it. You pour that into a racist institution and what happens, y'all? Nothing. You pour the Voters' Rights Act into a racist institution at its core and nothing happens. Then they create all these other racism. They keep saying just metamorphosizes. It keeps changing in different forms because the core of the institution, the heart of the United States, is impure. So what he's saying is that we cannot just take new thought and pour it into the existing structure. We actually need a new structure in order to pour the new thought into. All right? So he was not coming to preserve the old. Now, he wasn't coming to abolish the law. He was coming to fulfill it. Because if we really lived in fulfillment of the U.S. Constitution, if we really lived in fulfillment of the U.S. Constitution, this country would be the most beautiful place to live. This country would literally be heaven on earth. But guess what? I don't hold it against the country because it's even hard to do in our own individual lives. Many of us have written down beautiful goals, beautiful ideas. Before I educated y'all a couple of weeks ago on vision boards, beautiful vision boards. And I believe that all those things are possible for you. But even in our individual lives, we get in our own way of actually manifesting that which we say we want. So if it's hard for us as individuals, then how much harder is it to do as a country? So I don't hold America accountable. America is young, y'all. It is a teenager when it comes to countries. And it is in its adolescence, and it is in the midst of an identity crisis. It rebelled against its European mother and father. It was hurt. The people who got religiously persecuted in Europe came over here. They were hurt by their parents. And what do they say about hurt people, y'all? What do they say about hurt people? Hurt people hurt people. So hurt countries do what? Hurt countries hurt countries. And so the pain that they were feeling by having to leave their mother and father is what they actually inflicted on us. They're doing the exact same thing that their mother and father did to them, taxing them for no reason, religiously persecuting them for no reason. They're just doing exactly what they've been programmed to do. I'm not letting them off the hook. But if you just study a little bit of history, you will see that the white folks that came here were persecuted as well. Yeah, it was white on white crime. We talk about black on black crime all the time, but white on white crime is the worst in the world. World War I was what, 85 million people? World War II was 40 million people. World War I, or was it the other way around? One of them, whichever one was 85 million, took 3% of the entire population, global population. That's white on white crime, y'all. So don't come at me with black on black crime, y'all shooting each other. No, let's just tally up how many people you have killed. White on white crime is the most lethal. But here's why I don't take racism personal, y'all. If we were not here as people of color on earth, they would still kill each other anyways. Why? I don't know. What is in their DNA? I don't know. And it's usually not in individuals, it's in the groupthink and collective consciousness that they have. We talked about this earlier. If you look at the architecture of old Europe and you look at shows like Game of Thrones, they had to put up walls. They built castles with moats. When you look at the architecture in Africa, we didn't have that. This is why they were able to ride their boats and just walk up on us, because we didn't live in fear like that. We weren't afraid of the outside. But for some reason, even in their architecture, you can see the fear baked in. I have to build this castle with walls and a moat and a drawbridge and all this other stuff. We didn't operate like that. We didn't build in that way. So there's something about their environment that is genetically morphed them to be predisposed to kill. I'm not blaming them, but it's something to be aware of. Okay? So we keep it pushing. Jesus was a public demonstrator. Matthew 21, 12 through 13. Jesus entered the temple courts and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of the selling of those selling doves. It is written, he said unto them, my house will not be called will be called the house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers. So here we have Jesus, y'all. Jesus, y'all. Jesus that they don't show. Throwing over tables. I'll show you. We have Jesus throwing over tables. So what the rioters are doing, they're doing the exact same thing. They are publicly demonstrating with anger. Oh, y'all think that Jesus never got angry? That he never got frustrated? No, he was a spiritual gangster. He didn't even just do this outside. He did it in the temple courts. Threw over the table. Literally, physically damaged property, y'all. Jesus. Jesus. So these people complaining about, oh, but property's being damaged or whatnot. If all you can talk about is the property and you can't see the power of one person, one human life, then you're twisted. Your heart is upside down, as my daughter said this morning. Your heart is upside down. What folks do not realize is the power of one life to God. One lost sheep to God is more valuable than all of Minneapolis. One sacred life to God is more valuable than all of Minneapolis. And you can see it. They thought they were killing the body, and they did. And what it did was free the spirit and the soul. And now George Floyd's soul, one single individual man, is transforming the entire world. The body, the flesh, limits us. Most great spirits have more impact in the future than they do in the flesh. Most great spirits have more impact in the future than they do in the flesh. If you do not honor God's children, more spirits will be unleashed. And he didn't just free his own soul. His own soul didn't just get freed. He freed the fear out of a lot of people. People who were fearful just 2 seconds ago because of Corona and were locked up inside said, you know what? F it. Whoever shall try to save his life shall lose it, and whoever will lose his life for my sake shall save it. F coronavirus. This is more important. I'm willing to put my life on the line for this because this is not right. So Jesus was a public demonstrator. So when I look at the youth with all their energy out there, the unemployed, the people who need something to do, people who are been trying to scream and communicate to politicians, etc., they are acting like Jesus the revolutionary. You don't think the money changers had to fix their tables? You don't think the doves flew off? You don't think property was damaged when Jesus was in the temple? Why don't we talk about that? Right? So let's keep it moving, y'all. Jesus, the Black American Jesus that I know, he called out hypocrites publicly. Some of y'all don't feel free enough to speak publicly on your Instagram because you're afraid of losing your job. You know how many athletes, football players, they're now starting to speak up? But when Kaepernick was bending knees, they were afraid. Here you are, you have millionaires, y'all, but they still got white masters. Afraid to speak up. Quote unquote, financially free, but no freedom in their speech, in their voice to say what they truly feel. A whole bunch of black players in the NFL, all this money, couldn't speak freely, afraid to lose their job. Then you're not really free, homie. You're not really free, homie. You may have a lot of money in your bank account, but you are just another black body. Now, I'm glad you're getting your paper, homie. I'm glad you're getting your paper. Use your body for that 5 to 7 years that you can, if you last that long. But for the most part, you're not free if you can't say what you want. You see me on Instagram, I say what the F I want, y'all. Because I am a free Black man. You were looking at a free Black man, unrestricted by any body or anyone or any institution. I want you all to be able to walk through the world like this. This is how Jesus walked. Jesus walked. This is how I want you to be able to walk. Okay? Instagram, 1 second. It's going to cut off, and so I'm going to restart it. All right, 1 second, y'all. Let me get this Instagram back. I appreciate y'all for being here. Man, this one, I didn't know it was gonna come out like this today, y'all, but I hope it's blessing you. Let me get them started back up. We got quite a few people there. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're good to go. All right, Luke 12:1 and 54 through 57. Be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is the yeast that causes these lies to expand. Donald Trump is one of the greatest hypocrites of all time. Okay, and so that is the yeast, and it expanding. Okay, and so Jesus said, he said to the crowd, when you see a cloud rising in the west, immediately you say it's going to rain, and it does. And when the south winds blow, you say it's going to be hot, and it is. Hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and the sky. How is it that you do not know how to interpret this present time? Why don't you judge for yourselves what is right? So again, you see this last question? He said, why don't you judge for yourself what is right? Jesus didn't say this is right and this is wrong. He didn't operate in duality in this way. The tree of knowledge of good and evil, he didn't operate in that duality. He said, you judge. Your heart will be the judge. In Ma'at, in the Egyptian belief system and way of being, when you were transitioning from life to death, they would weigh your heart against a feather. They would weigh your heart against a feather. If your heart was heavy, that means that you probably had lies, probably had hypocrisy, you probably had sins, meaning that you missed the mark, probably had guilt, probably had jealousy, okay? And these things weigh down the heart, right? But if your heart was light, then your heart, it should weigh and balance with that of a feather. But when you're being hypocritical, when you are judging others, your heart does not weigh in that way. And so for some folks, we're afraid to speak out and call out hypocrisy when you see it. That weight will stay with you in your heart. When you can't speak your truth, for whatever reason, for whatever fear you have, fear, it will stay in the heart and it will weigh your heart down. Some of you are on the corporate plantation, and out of fear of losing your job, you don't say what you truly feel in a moment, even if the most racist thing happens in that moment. That weighs down on your heart. And you know, you can point to where the stress is in your body as a result of having to wear these masks over and over and over again. Okay? The Jesus, the revolutionary, he called out hypocrites publicly and was not afraid to do so. The Sadducees and the Pharisees, he called out over and over and over again. This is speaking truth to power, right? The Jesus that I knew, this is also adding on to speaking truth to power. John 10:32-34 says, but Jesus said to them, I have shown you my good works from the Father. Okay. Remember, Jesus said, I don't do the works, the Father doeth the works. When somebody got healed, he said, what did he say when somebody got healed, y'all? What did he say when somebody got healed? He said, your faith has made you whole or made you well. He didn't say, I made you well. It's literally right there. But we have these narratives and these scripts that, and these images that we have. He said, your faith made you well. He didn't say, I made you well. So here he says, I have shown you many good works from who? The Father, not from me, not from my ego, not from my persona as Yeshua or Emmanuel, from the Father. For which of these do you stone me? We are not stoning you for any good work, they replied, but for blasphemy, because you, a mere man, claim to be God. Jesus answered them, is it not written in your law? I have said, ye are gods. And he's referencing Psalms. This is my favorite scripture of all time. John 10:34. Jesus said, ye are gods, lowercase g. Jesus said this. Jesus said this. And it's also referenced in Psalms, which is where he's pulling from. So Jesus was not afraid, even when somebody was calling it blasphemous, to stand in his true identity. Because if I come from God, then guess what? I am a God. Am I the true source? Am I the one and only source? No, the creator is the source. But if that's the capital C creator, then guess what? I am a lowercase c creator. And so are you, because you are its offspring. How could you be anything else? How could you be anything else if that's what you came from? Is my daughter, or yeah, you a little G. That's the OG. That's the original gangster. And we over here, we little gangsters. We little G's. Okay? We new to the streets. And we learning how to use our creative powers. That's what this ministry is really all about. He wasn't afraid. Even if other people called it blasphemous, he knew what his true identity was, and he was not afraid to say it. Even when you all see this, some of you would be afraid to post this on your Instagram, to speak it to a friend who you know from church, that you are a God. That weighs heavy on your heart. And it does not have to, because that is your true identity. It is your only logical identity, is that you are a God. Not calling you the God, not calling you God, capital G, but you are a God. And Jesus was not afraid. The Black American Jesus, the revolutionary Jesus, he would say this publicly with no shame. Why should I be shameful of my identity as God? I should be shameful of any other identity below that. Why should I be ashamed of the highest identity and the highest calling of all? There's nothing to be ashamed of. You accepting lower than you deserve, that's something to be ashamed of. When you go into a job and you accept less pay than you know you truly deserve, that's what's to be ashamed of. Actually, I don't even like shame. I don't even like using shame. I'm not saying you should shame yourself, okay? So I actually want to erase that word from my vocabulary. But you are God. Jesus said it right here. Ye are gods. Aren't you a follower of Jesus? Y'all believe in Jesus, right? So where's the blasphemy? He said it himself. Okay? We actually dishonor our God. We actually deny our inheritance and our lineage when we say we are something other than God. What are you going to say? I'm not a God? I'm not a God. I'm a human. What do you say in place of that? The moment you say anything else, you cut yourself off from your inheritance and your lineage. Because whatever you say after I am becomes your experience. All right? So, Matthew 26, 43, 46. This is where Jesus calls out those closest to him. But here's the key, y'all. Without giving up on them. He calls out those closest to him without giving up on them. Some of you, in the midst of this racial war that we have going on, some of you have friends that you need to call out, but you're afraid. That's not how Jesus would operate. Here's what he says. When he came back, he again found them sleeping because of their eyes were heavy. And so he left them and went away once more and prayed the third time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, are you still sleeping and resting? Like, if you really look at that, that's like, this is the third time. He's disappointed. He's frustrated at this moment. Like, see, people never perceive Jesus as frustrated. You just perceive him as this perfect being that never had emotional waves. We already know through scripture, he goes in and out of alignment with the Father. He said, one moment it's I and the Father in one, and then it's Father, why have thou forsaken me? So Jesus himself in the gospel goes in and out of alignment. But the perception that is created of him is that he was just perfect this whole time. This is frustration. This is disappointment in his disciples. Are you still sleeping and resting? Still the third time? Okay. So look, the hours has come, and the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of the sinner. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. So he said, let us. He's like, y'all still on my team, but like, look, I'm gonna call you out. I'm gonna call you out lovingly. I'm gonna speak truth. Like, come on, y'all. We gotta play a higher game. We trying to go to the NBA. We trying to go to the pros. Y'all still playing on the high school level, okay? But I haven't given up on you, so let us go. Let's go. We still on the same team. It's still us, okay? We got a betrayer that's coming now, but it's still us, all right? So we have to learn how to correct those that are closest to us in a loving way without giving up on them. Because if we give up on them, then they stay in that pattern. Okay. So we have to learn how to hold accountable. And some of you who are in leadership positions and are afraid to like ruffle feathers and you're stepping on eggshells when you know there's somebody that's not performing around you, that's a challenge that you're going to have to overcome if you want to walk like the revolutionary Jesus. Okay. This dude was not on some kumbaya. This dude was not on some kumbaya-ish, y'all. He was not on some kumbaya-ish. This was one of the realest niggas, which is king, royalty, in the Ethiopian language, niggas, one of the realest niggas alive. Okay? This is not some kumbaya, let's hold hands, we are the world type dude. Y'all gotta understand this, okay? This is the Black American Jesus, all right? So Matthew 6:5-8, he challenged institutions and rituals and gave new ways. So this is key. He challenged the institution or the ritual, but then he also provided, he didn't just challenge it just to throw sticks at it, right? He didn't just challenge it, he would challenge it and then offer a new solution. Right now, we have a lot of people who are rioting and challenging, but they're not offering another solution. They're not offering another way. So it's the twofold process, okay? So watch what he says. And when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, okay? Calling out the hypocrites again, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. And when you pray, do not keep on babbling like pagans, for they think they will be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him. Then the next scriptures after this, he goes into, this is how ye should pray. And he gives the Lord's Prayer. So he challenges how people have been praying. These hypocrites, the Pharisees, have been praying, okay? But then he says, don't do that. Here's how you should pray. Our Father, right? And again, this is two of the most powerful words in the Bible. Again, Jesus, not the only begotten Son, right? Because the first two words of the Lord's Prayer are what, y'all? First two words of the Lord's Prayer are, our Father. He didn't say my Father. He didn't say I'm the only child. He didn't say reach out to Jesus's Father. He said our Father. Our Father, meaning that we are siblings. We are spiritual siblings. You got to know your identity, y'all. That's what's kept us in this situation, because we forgot who we were. We forgot that we were children of God. We thought we were stepchildren. We thought we were stepchildren because we're the only ones that don't have, especially Black Americans, don't have land. We thought that everybody else got a piece and we got nothing. We got the short end of the stick. And so we thought we were stepchildren. We thought we were foster children. And the reality is that's been our Father the entire time. Our Father, Mother, God, the entire time. Okay? So, we winding up, y'all. Jesus, he knew the law as it was written and he sought its fulfillment. So in Matthew 12:9-11, he says, going from that place, he went to their synagogues, and a man with a shriveled hand was there, looking for a reason to bring charges against Jesus. They asked him, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? He said to them, if any of you has a sheep and it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, will you not take hold of it and lift it out? And then Matthew 5:7, he said, do not think that I have come to abolish the law of the prophet or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. So what this is saying, y'all, is that Jesus is actually bringing a new interpretation of the law. The law in its original intent that is written in the Bible, in Deuteronomy, in Genesis, etc. The law in its original intent is pure, okay? The universal spiritual laws that we operate by, they are pure and they are perfect, okay? But our interpretation of them has been off. And so to fulfill the law means to actually uphold the law in its true nature. So again, if we go to the US Constitution, if we could actually fulfill the US Constitution as it is written, as what those words really mean, America would be heaven on earth. It would be the pride and joy of the entire world. So we aren't coming here as rioters, as protesters, etc., to abolish the law. We are simply asking America to actually fulfill the law as it is written. That all men and women are created equal. That is what our desire is. We are here to fulfill the law in its truest intent. That is a beautifully written document, even with the mindset of some of the slave owners who co-wrote that document. You can tell that that document is divinely inspired because something new was being born here. Now our challenge in our adolescence as a country is to actually live in fulfillment of that law. Can we actually live in alignment with what that law truly means? What does that really look like with all men being created equal? Okay, so that is our challenge. And that is what Jesus, the revolutionary, came to do, to fulfill the law. Jesus also came for the weary and burdened. See, this scripture says he is gentle and humble in heart, but guess what? He is fierce in action. Matthew 11:28-30 says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke, which is the thing that goes on a donkey or a horse's neck that allows them to move the carriage forward. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. And I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Okay. Now, this is a key word right here. I am gentle and humble in heart. In heart. So the imagery that we get of the white American Jesus is that he's just this gentle and humble dude, just going around and healing people, and he's nice, and everybody just come into my arms, and got kids sitting on his lap and things of that nature. No, that is who I am in my heart. But when it's time, I can be fierce. With that fierceness still coming from a place of love. I can be fierce and it still come from love, y'all. So it's a fine balance to walk though. It is a very fine balance to be gentle and humble in heart, but to know when you have to be stern, fierce, confrontational, speak truth to power. It's a very fine line to walk. But when you're able to hold both of those things, knowing that the action that you're taking is actually coming from a place of love, it is a very powerful place to be. All right. And I'm trying to experiment with that in parenting. How do I always come from love when it comes to my daughter, but when necessary, be stern, be fierce, call her out. Right. That is a very fine line to walk. But many of you who have kids, you've done it. You know what it's like. Okay. Jesus also came to set the oppressed free. The old narrative of Jesus, the white American narrative of Jesus, will be like he came to save the righteous and things of that nature. No. Luke 4:8, the Spirit of the Lord is on me because he has anointed me to proclaim good news for the who? For the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery for the sight of the blind and to set the oppressed free. Who are the oppressed people in this world? Forget this country. Who have been the oppressed people in this world, y'all? It's been us. Hands down, it's been us. Jews want to come and try to get a little peace. Yeah, you had your Holocaust. Yeah, I don't wish that the Holocaust occurred. But if we want to compare apples to apples, it does not compare to the transatlantic slave trade. I'm just sorry, it doesn't. I value every life equally. But if we want to make that argument, there is no argument to be made. And y'all doing pretty good right now. Yeah, that was in the past, but y'all doing pretty good right now. All right. So we are actually here to set the oppressed free. Matthew 25-40. The king will reply, truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine. Again, Jesus saying, y'all are my brothers and sisters. I'm not the only begotten son. John said I was the only begotten son. That's not what I said about myself. Y'all are my brothers and sisters. How many times does Jesus have to say it for you to get the John version out of your head? Why is it that we are so attached to John's writing of Jesus, the only begotten son? Why are we so attached to that when Jesus over and over and over and over and over and over again calls us his brothers and sisters? Go directly to the source, y'all. This is research. I'm encouraging you all to research. Do not believe me. Do not believe me. Again, that would be outsourcing your spirituality. Go do the research for yourself. How many times does Jesus have to say it? Yes, your preacher has told you Jesus is the only begotten son over and over and over again. Probably preaches it every Sunday. But Jesus himself in the scripture calls you brother and sister over and over and over again. Who do you believe? Who do you believe? So he came to set the oppressed free. And so if we want to walk in the walk of Jesus the revolutionary, then we must do the same with our work and with our lives. He also aimed for the soul, not the body, because we, as we know, we don't operate on this is spiritual warfare, and it is spiritual warfare that is manifesting on the physical plane. All right. If you ever played with G.I. Joes or whatnot, right? When you play with G.I. Joes, or any of you played Halo, or you've seen your kids play Halo or something like that, Halo is characters in the game shooting on the screen, shooting at each other, okay? But where is the controller of those characters shooting? Where is the controller of those characters shooting? Halo is a video game. It's a multiplayer video game. And there are players in the game, characters in these bodysuits that are shooting at each other. But where is the battle actually happening? It's actually happening in a different realm with the people who have the controls. So this is, in the same way, what we're seeing manifested here as our experience of the world collectively right now is actually happening on a spiritual plane, but it's manifesting in this material realm. Jesus knew that. So he was not trying to just deal with bodies, wasn't trying to get an officer persecuted or something like that, or locked up, because that is just affecting the body. He knew that we had to get to the soul. Now, again, his enemies went after the body in hopes to kill his soul, but you can never kill the soul. And when Black people are dancing, what do they say we have, y'all? When Black people are dancing, what do they say we have? We got the most what? We got the most soul. You think that just applies to us dancing? If we were the first man and woman here on this earth, then we were actually the closest to the father, mother. We're the older siblings. We're closest in age. We're closest in progeny. We got the most soul. I'm not putting down our other brothers and sisters, but for some reason, that is one of our gifts. Look, y'all, for a long time, we've been talking about white privilege. We've been talking about white privilege and all the privileges that white people got. And that's cool. I know it exists, and et cetera. But guess what? Y'all know we got Black privilege? Let's talk about that. It's our inability to see our Black privilege that's cutting us off. Y'all realize we got Black privilege. We are the most spiritual beings on the face of this planet. Right now, it manifests as us going to church more than anybody else, but we're the most spiritual being on this planet. We got the most soul. And We are the most creative. Why? Because we're closest to the creator. That is Black privilege. And in this midst of this conversation about white privilege, we forget that we got Black privileges that we just not using to their fullest ability. We have Black privileges that other cultures and people do not have, that we have not used to our fullest ability. Because we're too busy arguing about white privilege than actually accepting, honoring, and utilizing all of our Black privilege, because we believe we're poor. When you believe you're poor, when you believe you're at the bottom, you believe you have no privileges. And it's not true. Every one of God's children, white, Black, and everything in between, has some sort of privilege. We are all born individually and collectively with privileges and gifts. All of us. So if we stop worrying about white privilege and we just utilize our Black privilege, we will see our situation change. But if you continue to think you're poor and that you're being oppressed by other people and it's white privilege that's stopping you, nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you. There's plenty of Black privileges. This is why so many people want to be like us. Justin Bieber said it in his tweet. I've benefited from Black culture. If there was no Black privilege, why are so many people trying to be like us? Why is Kim Kardashian tanning? Why are people getting lips and butt transplants? Why are people stepping into our genre of music? If there's no Black privilege, then why is it that they're trying to be like us? Come on, y'all. Let's accept our Black privileges and stop worrying about be grateful. Now, white privilege is based on the diminishing of somebody else's privileges. There are white privileges that don't diminish somebody else's privileges. Look at some of y'all got a brother or sister who can sing. Then you got a brother or sister who's athletic. Then you got a brother or sister who's just great at math. Then you got a brother or sister that's great at writing. None of those diminish the other. We just need to celebrate each other's privileges. That's how the world works. White people got some privileges collectively and individually. Black people got some privileges collectively and individually. Brown people got some privileges collectively and individually. Everybody in between got privileges collectively and individually. We just need to honor each other's privileges. There is a toxic white privilege that seeks to diminish the privileges of others or leverage the privileges of others. But we got Black privileges, y'all. So let's stand in that, okay? Next, Jesus will call you out in the name of tough love. Matthew 8:25-26. The disciples went and woke him and saying, Lord, save us. We are perishing. And what did Jesus say, y'all? He said, you have little faith. Like, y'all been rocking with me for like 3 years now, and you've seen all these works, and you still got this little faith? I was sleeping. I was good. And you waking me because of your little faith? Y'all need to step it up. Like, that's literally how it translated. Right? Sit your butt down. Go believe. Right? Jesus replied, why are you so afraid? Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the sea, and it was perfectly calm. Like, you think he said that night? Oh, ye of little faith. Why are you so afraid? No, that's not how he said it. That's not how he said it. He said, y'all some scary ass niggas. That's what he said. He said, y'all some scary ass Negroes. Y'all some scary ass punks. That's exactly what he said. Okay? Wasn't no poetic Shakespeare. Shakespeare may have wrote half this thing, right? But that's not how he said it. He said, y'all some scary ass punks. Oh, y'all been rocking me for quite some time. Y'all still scared? Y'all don't know that we are divinely protected? Come on, y'all. So he would say it from his chest, right? I was sleeping. I was drooling. I was in the midst of a nap, being lulled to sleep by these waves. And y'all waking me up in fear of the waves. Okay? This is the revolutionary Jesus that is the Black African Jesus that I believe in. Okay? Then Jesus, he was sometimes a frustrated teacher, and he expected more of his disciples. Matthew 15:16, he says, Peter said to him, explain this parable to us. And Jesus said, do you still not understand? You think he said it? Do you still not understand? No, that's not how he said it. You still don't understand? Like, I've been going over this over and over and over again. You get it at the dinner table when we breaking bread. I've repeated this several times and you still don't understand, Peter? Like, you don't think there's frustration there, y'all? And then Mark 4:13. Then Jesus said to them, do you understand this? Don't you understand this parable? How then will you understand any other parable that I've been sharing with you? Like, there's frustration in just the way the language is written. There's frustration there, y'all. Velma, I'm not going to read what Velma typed, but she's accurate. She is accurate in what she just typed. Okay. Okay. So this is the last one, y'all. Jesus was a spiritual gangster. Matthew 9:9. And as Jesus went on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. Follow me, he told him, and Matthew got up and followed him. What kind of brother, is just going to walk up to somebody in the middle of their business and say, get up, follow me? What kind of brother got that kind of power? Only a spiritual gangster. Hey, you out there fishing, get up, follow me. That's the most gangster thing ever. You just walk up to somebody in the middle of their day and just say, follow me. Like, come on, y'all. There ain't no soft kumbaya dude, okay? All right, Mark 2:14-15. As Jesus walked along, he saw Levi, son of Alphaeus, sitting at the tax collector's booth. Follow me, Jesus told him, and Levi got up and followed him. While Jesus was having dinner at Levi's house, many tax collectors and sinners were eating with him and his disciples, for there were many who followed him. This dude was breaking bread with sinners and tax collectors. Breaking bread with sinners. What does that sound like? That sounds like a gangster to me. That sounds like a real gangster to me. Like breaking bread with them. Not even just going to have a meeting, not even go to do some sort of transaction. No, we are breaking bread. This dude had the ultimate street credibility. All the lowest of the low, the dirtiest of the dirtiest respected this dude, okay? There wasn't no kumbaya white dude with blue eyes and blonde hair walking through neighborhoods like this, okay? So when we talk about Jesus being a spiritual gangster, yeah, Jesus was like Suge Knight. I mean, how many dudes walking around the Middle East barefoot with 12 dudes following him like, we here. Go set up shop. We about to just speak to these people. Like, I mean, even for Suge Knight to have we know that Tupac was powerful. And for Suge Knight to be able to bring Tupac into his solar system, we know that Suge Knight had power. This is the kind of power that the Jesus that I knew walked through the Middle East and from Egypt to the Middle East. This was a spiritual gangster, not some soft, humble, kumbaya type of dude. All right? So what we need to do is we're going to bring heaven down to earth because, this is not just a preaching, y'all. This is a preaching, and we want to make it action-oriented. So I need everybody to take a picture of this with your phone, take a screenshot if you're watching. And you need to figure out why you're here and what's your revolution. What is your revolution? Okay? And this statement, this fill in the blank statement, will help you define what your revolution is, what your soul hyphen, okay? Your soul, I'll type it for you. You are all a solution. You are all a solution to some sort of problem in this world, okay? And this statement, as you get clearer and clearer on it, and it evolves over time, will help you define what that is. So who is your target market? We know that Jesus was here for the oppressed, okay? What problem was he solving, okay? Then what was his promise? That you have life and have it more abundantly. Why? So that you can benefit from sitting at the right hand of the Father, Mother, without doing all these other things, these faulty rituals that actually don't get you closer to God, right? So if we thought about Jesus's mission and what his revolution was, we could fill that in. I'm going to share with you mine because I don't know Jesus's in full. Okay, I'm trying to uncover it. He says there's actually 17 different occasions about why he said he was here. Some of them actually contradict each other. Okay, so I've done that research. So for me, I'm going to tell you what my revolution is, y'all. I am here to help Black folk overcome poverty consciousness and spiritual stepchildishness. I made up that word. Y'all know I love making up words. I'm here to help Black folks overcome poverty consciousness and spiritual stepchildishness, okay? By learning how to master manifestation and money so that they can live out their God-given purpose daily without exchanging their time for money, okay? That is my revolution. That is my revolution. And I do that through the financial church. I do that through the multifamily movement, where I help people acquire multifamily real estate. And I do that, those are primarily the two ways that I do that right now. This is my revolution, y'all. So I need everybody to take a screenshot or a picture of this template. And this is your homework for this week. This is your homework for this week, is to determine what your revolution is. What is your solution? Because we all have a role in this revolution. Jesus had his cross to bear, and you have your own cross to bear. So you need to define what that is. You need to share it with others, because the more aware that I am of what your revolution is, the more people that I can send to your way. If you are a doctor that heals, then anybody that comes, I'm not a doctor that heals. So if I know what your revolution is, I can channel people to you. If you know what my revolution is, you can channel people who need help in this way to me. So we have to get clear on what each of our individual revolutions are. We are all about our Father's business, but we all have different departments in the business. We are all about our Father's business, but each of us has our own department. So you need to come up with your department's mission statement and be clear about what metrics of success you are using to drive that department forward. All right? So that is your homework for this week, to bring heaven down to earth. We don't just want to stay up here in the clouds, right? That's not the kind of spirit. We want practical spirituality. Somebody said, I misspelled something, bringing. I don't see the word bring. Oh, thank you. I'll fix that right on the spot. Thank you for the correction. I accept that as loving correction, as we just talked about, okay? Loving correction, all right? So we're gonna close out with our affirmation, and our affirmation is that I am a spiritual gangster, okay? So read this with me, okay? 1, 2, 3. I am a spiritual gangster. I gather my brothers and sisters to lead with me on behalf of good and God. I'm here to free my people of any kind of oppression that I've been uniquely gifted to solve. I know the power of my tongue, and I speak truth to power, and I speak it publicly. I lovingly challenge old institutions by holding them accountable and in love at the same time. I can give it to you without giving up on you, because I see God in you. I am fearless, for God is with me, and if God be for me, then who can be against me? Ashe, amen, and so it is. I'll read it one more time. I am a spiritual gangster. I gather my brothers and sisters to lead with me, not to follow, but to lead with me on behalf of good and God. And we know those are one and the same. I'm here to free my people of any kind of oppression that I've been uniquely gifted to solve, my solution. I know the power of my tongue, and I speak truth to power, and I speak it publicly. I lovingly challenge old institutions by holding them accountable and in love at the same time. I can give it to you without giving up on you, because I see the God in you. I am fearless, for God is with me, and if God be for me, who can be against me? Ashe, amen, and so it is. All right. So with that, we're going to shift into our giving. And for those of you who are new, we give differently here. We give way different here, okay? In fact, the way this giving is not for some building fund. It's not for my Ferrari. It's not for my airplane. We actually contribute to what we call the faith fund, and then we give that money back out immediately to people, individuals or institutions who are in need. This is how we believe giving should occur. But to each his own. This is how we give without comparing ourselves to anybody else. This is how we give here. Last week, actually, I have a beautiful story to share with you all from last week. Last week, we gave $265 to the Minnesota Freedom Fund, and that is to help those who might be getting arrested get out in terms of bail money and legal support. So we did that. And I don't know if you all remember last week. Who was here last week? Who was here last week? Okay, well, we had a lot of vets. So if you remember, Keisha came last week and she had a car note that was due. And I told you, y'all, the way Jesus heals, he said, what did he say? What did Jesus say? When he heals, or when a healing occurred, what did he say? Your faith has healed you. Guess what, y'all? We just had our first financial healing. I won't call it our first. We probably had more, but watch this. This is what Keisha sent to me after we were ready to contribute to her last week. Look at this, y'all. Keisha says, hello, I want to thank you for your inspiration and knowledge you shared to help people be in alignment with God. I thoroughly enjoyed today's financial church and will continue to Zoom in weekly. I truly appreciate the help you offered to help me with my car note. Although my money is tight right now for my family, after speaking with my husband, we've decided to try to make things work financially with the car so the $165 can go to someone else with a greater need. I truly appreciate the offer. I realized today when I change my thoughts, I can truly change my life. I will begin to get rid of the old seeds planted in my mind and start with new seeds of manifestation. From your webinar, I learned I must be a good steward of and not just believe I am wealthy because I'm a child of God. I truly believe I've had the wrong thoughts in my mind, and this is a big reason why I have not done well with my finances in the last 9 years. God has blessed me with many talents, and it's time for me to manifest them so I can be a blessing to many people through giving. Thanks again for the work you do. You're a wonderful example of the world to see. May God continue to reward you and bless you, Keisha. Yo, her faith made her whole. Her faith made her wealthy. She was open to receive. We were ready to give. And in her openness to receive, she recognized the wealth and abundance that she already had, that she could make it work, that she's been blessed with gifts and talents that she can give to the world right now. But just that crack, that opening of her being willing to receive in that moment opened her up to recognize how abundant she already was. And she said, you can give this to someone who is in greater need than me. Because when I really look at my life, I am blessed. I have more than enough. I'm going to be able to make this work. In fact, I'm excited about this challenge of being able to dig myself out of this situation and plant new seeds while I'm doing so. We just had a financial healing, y'all. We just had a financial healing. This is beautiful. Yo, I cried when I saw this email. I cried when I read this email, y'all. She didn't even have to receive the money. She didn't even have to receive the money to step into the awareness. She's moved from poverty consciousness to wealth consciousness just like that. It can happen just like that, y'all. It can happen just like that. The exciting news is that last week, y'all were on one. Y'all were on one. Last week, y'all gave so much money that our cup is running over in a good way. All right, let me show you our financial balance. Here we operate in full transparency. For those of you who are new and want to give, you can use the Cash App, the Venmo, or the PayPal below. Here we are very transparent about our giving. I'm about to share our actual balance sheet with you all, okay? We don't hide here. These are the actual numbers, okay? So you can see we started, you should be able to see my screen. We started doing this on 4/12. We started with $0. I started with the first $100. And now we are here. And you can see this money was set aside for Keisha. She decided not to receive it. So last week, y'all, at the end of last week, 5/24, we had $2,173. Y'all, we are at $2,761. So this week, we are actually going to increase our giving to $600. Normally, we do $400 a week. We are going to increase our giving to $600 this week. So As I said last week, we are demonstrating as a collective the universal principle of giving. We believe that giving is a spiritual practice. Every time we give, y'all, we receive more. With the exception of 1 week, we've given and then we've received more. We've given and we receive more. Even though we're giving every single week, our cup keeps growing, y'all. We are demonstrating this universal law of giving and receiving right here as a collective in practice. So you can never say that this law is not true because it is happening right before our eyes. Okay? So with that, what we're going to do is I first like to ask, is there anybody, I'm going to stop sharing this and go back to the screen. Is there anybody who is here that is in financial need at this moment in time? I'm talking about a utility bill, car note, laptop for a kid because they need to learn online, a trip because a flight because an elder is ill, utility bill, gas for a car. Is there anybody who is actually in need right now as an individual? Here, we do not play in shame. You do not have to share the story of the past. We don't care about the past. All we care about is how this teaching has blessed you and how you intend to be a better steward of money going forward. That's it. We don't need to dwell in the past. All we're working on is planting new seeds. The past is gone. Everything that you're experiencing now is a manifestation of seeds you planted way back, and they're manifesting now. So all we do is focus on planting new seeds. We don't worry about how those old seeds got there, et cetera. We don't worry about that, okay? So if there's anybody who is in financial need right now, we have $600 to give. We usually at least split it between 2 people. And if not, then what we do is we give to, we choose 2 nonprofits. Okay. So Monty says he's in need. Monty, I'm going to bring you on. 1 second. Come on, where's it at? Monty. All right, Monty. All right, so Monty, are you there? Monty, are you there? Monty, are you there? Click unmute on your phone or your computer. I'm trying to unmute you, but it won't allow me to. Monty, are you there? All right. Monty, you're gonna have to click unmute on your Zoom so we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, all right, I am here.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
All right, we're well. We can always do better. I came up on the 4 o'clock financial channel, came up on the Zoom, and I came in, and I'm just agreeing with the truth. But that question you were just asking, I said, yes, I needed the money.
Okay, what exactly do you need, brother? We're glad to have you, and we want to celebrate you for being open to receive. We know here that a lot of us are great givers, and we are working on the skill set of receiving. And so we honor you for being a demonstration for everybody here of receiving. Brother, what is it specifically that you need to receive at this moment in time? What number and what for?
Okay, the number I need is $300 because my checking account is overdrawn. However, okay, I have monies coming from my Mass Mutual account, so that I can be so I can be on a positive kill, so I can give. I need that money released. That's what I actually need. It's not so much the money, but I actually need this money to be released in a timely fashion.
So, yeah, totally with that. Totally with that. Now we don't do zero. We need an exact number. So if you can open that up, we don't do rounded to zeros. We need an exact number.
I got you. $237.77.
77 cents. Okay, beautiful. And I love what you said about you need that so that you can give. So we hear your giving spirit. What we want to know is, how did this teaching bless you today? And how are you going to be a better steward of money going forward?
Well, because the priorities are different. The purpose of me receiving is so that I can give. The thing that was powerful for me was the testimony from Keisha. The mindset changes. Take the talents that we have. We're blessed to be a blessing. You teach a very basic and fundamental truths in the fact that we are creators. We are God. So the fact that from that perspective, when he blessed us already, we're already blessed. So our responsibility is to be fruitful and to multiply. That means our thoughts. That means that we put our hands to, where we go. We are, in fact, the smart bombs. He's releasing us. And I'm like, and from you, I appreciate this opportunity. I'm not going to be long with it, but I appreciate this opportunity just to have this moment in time just to confer. Because I said, this brother here is straight on kingdom work. It's no games. So, because God don't have any coward soldiers. And when he calls his army to stand up, that's who he is. And the righteous gonna stand up. The truth gonna stand up, in the midst of anything. And it's just the confidence, truth and boldness and light is just one thing. You know what I mean? So
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful.
So,
brother, we celebrate you and we appreciate you. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to email me at julian@thefreedomschool.com. Okay. And you're going to need to email me. I'm putting that in chat, julian@thefreedomschool.com. You're going to email me your Cash App, your Venmo, or your PayPal. And then you're going to email me a screenshot of your account balance right now.
Okay.
All right.
Not a problem.
Brother, we are so grateful.
Yes.
We're grateful for you, man.
I'm grateful for you. I just want to let you know you are appreciated. Yeah, you are appreciated.
Yes, and this gift is from all of us. We wish you the best, brother.
Thank you, praise you. Thank you. We standing there, hanging in. Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop, for sure. All right, brother. So I love what Monty said, and I got this from Reverend Ike. For those of you who don't know Reverend Ike is an amazing, amazing teacher. You realize that God can't give you anything else, right? Y'all realize that God can't give you anything else? God has given you everything that you need already. It's just whether or not you are ready to receive it. God made you perfect, whole, and complete. There's nothing else to give to you. You have everything already inside of you. It's on you to excavate it. Okay? It's on you to excavate it. God cannot give you anything else. The kingdom is already yours. This is why Jesus didn't accept the kingdom from the devil when he was being tempted, because it was already his. What do I look like accepting something from you that I already own? How stupid is that? Why are you trying to give me something that I already have? I already have a car. Why are you trying to give me my car back? Those are my keys. What are you talking about? This is where the deception comes in, is that you've been taught to believe that it's not yours and that you don't have it. But we know that once you know that you have it, not just believe, once you know that you have it, then you have it. To he that hath, more will be given. And he that does not have, that which he has will be taken away. You have to know that you have it already for it to actually manifest in the material realm. You have to know that you have it in your mind. Remember, everything manifests twice, first in the mind and then in the material experience. Okay? So, thank you all for your contributions. I will tally this up and I will give. I would love for, let me see, somebody who's been, let me see. What I'd love is for Rashad. Rashad, are you there? Rashad, type in chat if you're here, brother. Rashad, we're going to give $237.77 to Rashad. Can you find a nonprofit for us to give to the rest? What is going to be about 362.23. $362.23. Can you find a nonprofit for us to give to this week? If not, Velma has one. Youth learn and earn. All right. Rashad, I'll do you next week. Catherine has one and Velma has one. So Catherine and Velma, I'll split it between you two. So Catherine and Velma, send me the donation pages for those two organizations, and I'll split the 362 between those organizations. Can I get a confirmation from Catherine and Velma? Mia, I see you. Queen Life LLC Inc. We'll do that one next week. All right, cool. All right, y'all. So that concludes today's Financial Church. Yo, we be going 2 hours. I be thinking like, oh, this gonna take like 30 minutes. And we be going in for 2 hours, y'all. I'm about to go get some rest, get ready for the multifamily movement weekly deal room call in 2 hours. This was a blessing. Thank you for allowing me to share. Let those who have ears hear. I hope this blessed you. I know it was a little bit different than our typical teachings around manifestation and money, but given the times that we're in, and me knowing that our identity is what has to shift. It's not just about the transfer of information, it's about identity, that we need a new understanding of who Jesus is, especially as Black Americans or Africans in America. So I pray that this has blessed you. The replay will be up at thefinancialchurch.com. So you can check it out there. And I wish you all health and wealth as you go into this week. And I will see you next week. Go ahead and set a phone alarm for every week for 4 o'clock if you don't want to miss these teachings. And otherwise, sign up for text message reminders. All right. Love y'all. And I will see you next week. Peace.